What if I told you that there are 4 emotional needs that men prioritize above love itself, needs so fundamental that when they're not met, even the deepest romantic love can feel insufficient or even irrelevant? Today, we're diving deep into the psychology behind what truly drives men emotionally, and why understanding these needs could completely transform your relationships. This isn't about stereotypes or outdated gender roles. This is about psychological research, human behavior, and the fundamental emotional architecture that influences how men connect, bond, and find fulfillment. By the end of this video, you'll understand why a man might choose career over romance, why he might withdraw when he feels criticized, or why he needs space even when he loves deeply. More importantly, you'll learn how to recognize and respond to these needs in ways that create stronger, more authentic connections. I'm going to share with you the 4 emotional needs that psychological research shows consistently rank higher than romantic love in men's emotional hierarchy. These insights come from decades of relationship studies, psychological research, and real-world observations of what makes relationships thrive or fail. But before we dive in, let me be clear. This doesn't mean men don't value love. It means that without these 4 foundational needs being met, love alone often isn't enough to create lasting satisfaction and connection. Think of it like building a house. Love might be the beautiful interior, but these 4 needs are the foundation. Without a solid foundation, even the most beautiful house will eventually crumble. So if you're ready to understand the deeper psychological drivers that influence male behavior and discover how to use this knowledge to build stronger, more fulfilling relationships, let's get started. The psychology behind emotional hierarchy. Before we explore the 4 specific needs, it's crucial to understand the psychological framework that explains why these needs can override love. This isn't about men being shallow or unromantic. It's about how the human brain prioritizes different types of emotional fulfillment. Psychologist Abraham Maslow's famous hierarchy of needs gives us insight into this phenomenon. While love and belonging are essential human needs, they sit in the middle of the hierarchy. Below them are physiological and safety needs, and above them are esteem and self-actualization needs. What's fascinating is that research shows men often prioritize needs related to esteem and self-actualization differently than women do. But there's more to this story. Modern psychological research, particularly in self-determination theory developed by Edward Deci and Richard Ryan, identifies 3 basic psychological needs that are universal to human motivation and well-being: autonomy, competence, and relatedness. When we look at how these manifest specifically in male psychology, we start to see patterns that explain why certain emotional needs can feel more urgent than romantic love. The evolutionary psychology perspective adds another layer. Throughout human history, men have been shaped by pressures that emphasized providing, protecting, and achieving status within social hierarchies. These evolutionary influences still impact modern male psychology, creating emotional needs that feel fundamental to identity and self-worth. Here's the key insight. When these deeper needs aren't met, men often experience what psychologists call emotional dysregulation. This doesn't mean they don't want love. It means they literally cannot fully receive or appreciate love when these foundational needs are unmet. It's like trying to appreciate a beautiful sunset when you're drowning. The beauty is there, but survival needs take precedence. This is why understanding these 4 emotional needs is so powerful. When you recognize and respond to them appropriately, you create the emotional foundation that allows love to flourish. When you ignore or dismiss them, you create conditions where even genuine love struggles to take root. Need number 1: respect and appreciation. The first emotional need that often overrides love for men is respect and appreciation. Now, before anyone gets defensive about this, let me be clear. Women need respect too. But research consistently shows that men process and prioritize respect in ways that are distinctly different from how they process love. Dr. Emerson Eggerichs, author of Love and Respect, conducted extensive research showing that when men feel disrespected, they often struggle to feel loved, even when love is genuinely present. This isn't about ego or pride. It's about how respect functions as a primary emotional language for many men. But what does respect actually look like in practical terms? It's not about being subservient or never disagreeing. True respect in relationships manifests in several key ways. First, it's about acknowledging his competence and judgment. This means trusting his ability to handle situations, make decisions, and solve problems. When a man feels that his partner constantly questions his judgment or micromanages his actions, it creates what psychologists call learned helplessness. He begins to withdraw his effort because he feels his contributions aren't valued. Second, respect involves appreciation for his efforts and intentions, even when the results aren't perfect. Men are often highly motivated by the desire to provide value and make a positive difference. When their efforts go unnoticed or are immediately criticized, it can be emotionally devastating. This doesn't mean you can't have standards or preferences. It means acknowledging the positive intention behind the effort before addressing areas for improvement. Third, respect includes allowing him space for his own decision-making process. Many men process decisions differently than women do. They may need quiet time to think, they may want to research options thoroughly, or they may prefer to work through problems independently before discussing them. Respecting this process doesn't mean being excluded from decisions that affect you. It means understanding that pressuring him to process the way you do can feel disrespectful to his natural approach. Here's where this gets interesting from a psychological perspective. When men feel deeply respected, they often become more loving, attentive, and emotionally available. It's not that they're withholding love as manipulation, it's that feeling respected actually opens up their capacity for emotional expression and connection. Research in relationship dynamics shows that couples where men feel respected report higher levels of intimacy, better communication, and more satisfying relationships overall. This creates what psychologists call a positive feedback loop. Respect leads to increased emotional connection, which leads to more natural expressions of love, which makes both partners feel more fulfilled. But here's the crucial point. This need for respect can override love when it's consistently unmet. A man might choose to end a relationship with someone he loves deeply if he feels chronically disrespected, because the emotional pain of feeling devalued becomes unbearable. This isn't about being selfish or prideful. It's about psychological self-preservation. On the flip side, many men will stay in relationships where love feels absent, but respect is present, because respect meets such a fundamental emotional need. This explains why some men seem to thrive in relationships that others might view as cold or businesslike. If respect and appreciation are consistently present, they may feel more emotionally satisfied than in a relationship full of romantic gestures but lacking in genuine respect. The practical application here is profound. Instead of leading with "I love you" when there's conflict or disconnection, try leading with appreciation and respect. Acknowledge his efforts, thank him for his contributions, and express confidence in his abilities. You'll often find that this creates much faster emotional reconnection than romantic gestures alone. Need number 2, purpose and significance. The second emotional need that can override love for men is the need for purpose and significance. This goes beyond just having a job or keeping busy. It's about feeling that his life has meaning, that he's making a difference, and that his existence matters in a substantial way. Psychologist Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and author of Man's Search for Meaning, identified the search for meaning as the primary human drive. But research shows that men and women often seek meaning in different ways, and for many men, this search for purpose can feel more urgent than romantic fulfillment. This need manifests in several distinct ways. First, there's the drive for legacy, the desire to build something lasting that will outlive him. This might be a business, a body of work, children he's raised well, or a contribution to his community. When a man feels that his life isn't creating any lasting impact, he can experience what psychologists call existential anxiety, a deep fear that his life is meaningless. Second, there's the need to feel useful and valuable in concrete ways. Many men are motivated by being able to provide, protect, or solve problems for people they care about. When they feel like their contributions aren't needed or wanted, it can create profound emotional distress. This explains why retirement, job loss, or children leaving home can be particularly challenging for men. These life changes can threaten their sense of purpose. Third, there's the drive for mastery and expertise. Many men find deep satisfaction in becoming excellent at something, whether it's their profession, a hobby, or a skill. This isn't about competition or showing off. It's about the intrinsic satisfaction of growth and competence. When this drive is fulfilled, it contributes significantly to overall life satisfaction and emotional well-being. Here's where this intersects with relationships in powerful ways. When a man feels purposeless or insignificant, even the most loving relationship can feel insufficient. It's not that he doesn't value love. It's that without a sense of purpose, he struggles to feel worthy of love or capable of contributing meaningfully to the relationship. Research in positive psychology shows that people who have a strong sense of purpose report higher levels of life satisfaction, better mental health, and more resilient relationships. For men specifically, studies indicate that having a clear purpose and feeling significant in their various roles as partners, fathers, professionals, or community members directly correlates with their ability to be emotionally present and connected in relationships. This need can override love in several ways. A man might choose career advancement over spending time with loved ones if his sense of purpose feels threatened. He might become emotionally distant if he feels like he's not contributing meaningfully to his family's well-being. Or he might end relationships that make him feel small, insignificant, or purposeless, even if love is present. But here's the fascinating part. When men feel truly purposeful and significant, they often become more loving, generous, and emotionally available. Purpose doesn't compete with love. It creates the foundation for love to flourish. A man who feels meaningful in his work, valuable in his relationships, and significant in his impact on the world has the emotional resources to love deeply and consistently. The challenge many couples face is that partners sometimes view the pursuit of purpose as competition for attention and affection. A woman might feel threatened when her partner is passionate about his work, his goals, or his projects, interpreting this focus as a sign that she's not important to him. But understanding that purpose is a fundamental emotional need helps reframe this dynamic. Instead of competing with his sense of purpose, the most successful relationships find ways to support and enhance it. This might mean celebrating his professional achievements, encouraging his personal projects, or helping him see how his role as a partner contributes to meaningful outcomes. When a woman helps a man feel more purposeful and significant, she often discovers that he becomes more loving and attentive, not less. There's also a beautiful opportunity for couples to create shared purpose, projects, goals, or missions that give both partners a sense of significance and meaning. This might be raising children, building a business together, contributing to causes they care about, or creating something that reflects their shared values. When couples have both individual purpose and shared purpose, it creates an incredibly strong foundation for lasting love and connection. The practical application here is to pay attention to what gives your partner a sense of purpose and significance. Ask him about his goals, his dreams, and his vision for making a difference. Support his pursuits, celebrate his achievements, and help him see how his various roles contribute to meaningful outcomes. You'll often find that this support doesn't take away from your relationship. It energizes it. Need, number 3, autonomy and freedom. The third emotional need that can override love for men is autonomy and freedom. This is perhaps the most misunderstood need on our list because it's often interpreted as not wanting commitment or not caring about the relationship, but that's not what psychological autonomy means at all. Autonomy in psychological terms is about having the freedom to make choices, express your authentic self, and maintain your individual identity within relationships and other contexts. It's about feeling like you have agency over your own life and decisions. Research in self-determination theory shows that autonomy is one of the 3 basic psychological needs essential for human motivation and well-being. For many men, this need for autonomy manifests in specific ways that can seem confusing or even hurtful to partners who don't understand the underlying psychology. Let me break down what this actually looks like and why it's so important. First, there's the need for decision-making freedom. This doesn't mean making unilateral decisions about things that affect the relationship. It means having input and choice in decisions that affect his life. When men feel controlled, micromanaged, or like their preferences are consistently overridden, it can trigger what psychologists call reactance, a psychological pushback against perceived threats to freedom. Second, there's the need for space and time to pursue individual interests and relationships. This includes having friendships, hobbies, and activities that exist independently of the romantic relationship. It's not about keeping secrets or avoiding intimacy. It's about maintaining a sense of individual identity that enhances rather than threatens the partnership. Third, there's the need to express opinions, preferences, and emotions without fear of excessive judgment or attempts to change him. Many men have experienced relationships where expressing their authentic thoughts or feelings led to criticism, lectures, or attempts to fix them. Over time, this can lead to emotional withdrawal and a sense that they need to hide their true selves to maintain peace. Here's where the psychology gets really interesting. When men feel their autonomy is threatened or restricted, they often experience what researchers call psychological reactance. This isn't stubbornness or immaturity, it's a natural psychological response to perceived threats to freedom. The more controlled they feel, the more they may push back or withdraw, even from people they love deeply. This need can override love in several ways. A man might end a relationship with someone he cares about if he feels suffocated or controlled. He might become emotionally distant if he feels like he's losing his individual identity, or he might make choices that prioritize his freedom over his partner's preferences, even when he knows it will cause conflict. But here's the crucial insight. Autonomy doesn't mean independence from the relationship. It means interdependence, with maintained individuality. The healthiest relationships are those where both partners feel free to be themselves while choosing to commit to each other. When men feel genuinely autonomous within a relationship, they often become more committed and emotionally invested, not less. Research consistently shows that people who feel autonomous in their relationships report higher satisfaction, better communication, and stronger long-term commitment. This creates what psychologists call intrinsic motivation. They're in the relationship because they genuinely choose to be, not because they feel trapped or obligated. The challenge many couples face is distinguishing between healthy autonomy and avoidance of intimacy. Healthy autonomy enhances intimacy by ensuring that when partners choose to be vulnerable and close, it's coming from an authentic place rather than obligation or fear. Unhealthy patterns might involve using the need for freedom as an excuse to avoid commitment or emotional responsibility. Supporting healthy autonomy in your relationship means several things. It means trusting your partner to make good decisions and respecting his judgment, even when you might choose differently. It means encouraging his friendships and individual pursuits rather than viewing them as threats to the relationship. It means accepting his emotions and perspectives without immediately trying to change or fix them. It also means maintaining your own autonomy and not making the relationship the sole source of your identity and fulfillment. When both partners have strong individual identities and choose to share their lives together, it creates a much more robust and satisfying connection than relationships based on dependency or fear of abandonment. One of the most powerful things you can do for your relationship is to explicitly communicate that you want your partner to feel free to be himself, express his authentic thoughts and feelings, and maintain his individual interests and relationships. Many men have never experienced this kind of acceptance and support for their autonomy, and it can be profoundly moving and bonding. The practical application here is to regularly check in with yourself. Am I supporting my partner's autonomy, or am I trying to control outcomes through pressure, guilt, or manipulation? Am I encouraging his individual growth and interests, or am I viewing them as competition? Am I accepting his authentic self, or am I trying to change him into someone else? When men feel truly autonomous within a loving relationship, they often experience it as the ultimate freedom, the freedom to choose love every day, rather than feeling trapped by it. Need. 4. Competence and achievement. The fourth emotional need that can override love for men is the need for competence and achievement. This goes far deeper than just wanting to succeed or be the best. It's about the fundamental human drive to feel capable, effective, and able to master challenges. Competence, according to self-determination theory, is one of the three basic psychological needs essential for human motivation and well-being. It's the need to feel effective in your interactions with the environment and to experience opportunities, to express and exercise your capabilities. For many men, this need is particularly intense and directly tied to their sense of identity and self-worth. This need manifests in several key ways. First, there's the drive to solve problems and overcome challenges. Many men are energized by situations that test their abilities and allow them to demonstrate their capabilities. This might be professional challenges, physical activities, technical problems, or creative projects. The satisfaction comes not just from the outcome, but from the process of applying their skills and seeing tangible results. Second, there's the need to feel valuable and contributory in practical ways. This often shows up as a desire to be helpful, to provide solutions, and to make things better through their actions. When men feel like their contributions aren't needed, valued, or effective, it can create significant emotional distress and a sense of purposelessness. Third, there's the drive for continuous growth and improvement. Many men are motivated by the process of getting better at things they care about, whether that's their profession, their hobbies, their relationships, or their personal development. This isn't about perfectionism or never being satisfied. It's about the intrinsic satisfaction that comes from progress and mastery. Here's where this intersects with relationships in complex ways. When men feel incompetent or ineffective, especially in areas they care about, it can severely impact their emotional availability and relationship satisfaction. It's not that they stop loving their partner, it's that feelings of incompetence can trigger shame, withdrawal, and emotional dysregulation that make it difficult to connect authentically. Research shows that feelings of competence are directly linked to self-esteem, motivation, and overall mental health. When men feel capable and effective, they're more likely to be confident, generous, and emotionally present. When they feel incompetent or ineffective, they're more likely to become defensive, withdrawn, or overly focused on proving themselves. This need can override love in several ways. A man might prioritize work or personal projects over relationship time if he's struggling with feelings of incompetence and needs to rebuild his confidence through achievement. He might become emotionally distant if he feels like a failure in important areas of his life, or he might avoid intimacy and vulnerability because he fears that his partner will discover his perceived inadequacies. But here's the beautiful part. When men feel genuinely competent and effective, they often become more loving, generous, and emotionally available. Competence doesn't compete with love. It creates the confidence and emotional stability that allows love to flourish freely. One of the most powerful things partners can do is to recognize and acknowledge areas where their man demonstrates competence. This might be his professional skills, his problem-solving abilities, his physical capabilities, his emotional intelligence, or his contributions to the family. The key is that the recognition needs to be genuine and specific, not generic praise, but acknowledgement of actual competence. It's also important to understand that men often process failure and setbacks differently than women do. When a man experiences failure or feels incompetent in an area he cares about, he may need time and space to process these feelings and rebuild his confidence. Pushing him to talk about it immediately or trying to reassure him that it doesn't matter may actually be counterproductive. Supporting his need for competence means several things. It means trusting him to handle challenges and solve problems without immediately jumping in to help unless he asks. It means acknowledging his successes and improvements, even small ones. It means understanding that his drive to achieve and improve isn't about neglecting the relationship. It's about becoming the kind of person who can contribute meaningfully to the relationship. There's also an opportunity for couples to create shared challenges and achievements. Working together on projects, goals, or problems can be incredibly bonding when both partners feel competent and valued in the process. This might be home improvement projects, financial goals, parenting challenges, or creative endeavors. The challenge many couples face is when one partner's need for competence conflicts with the other's need for attention or involvement. A woman might feel neglected when her partner is intensely focused on a work project or personal goal, not understanding that his drive for competence is actually motivated by a desire to become more capable of providing value to their relationship. TC1. Key insight here is that supporting your partner's competence and achievement often leads to better relationship outcomes, not worse ones. When men feel capable and effective in areas they care about, they bring that confidence and energy into their relationships. When they feel incompetent or ineffective, they often withdraw emotionally as a protective mechanism. The practical application is to pay attention to areas where your partner demonstrates competence and to acknowledge these strengths regularly. Ask him about his goals and challenges, celebrate his successes, and offer support in ways that enhance rather than undermine his sense of capability. You'll often find that this creates a positive cycle where his growing competence enhances his ability to love and connect authentically. How these needs override love now that we've explored all four needs: respect and appreciation, purpose and significance, autonomy and freedom, and competence and achievement. Let's examine how and why these needs can actually override love in men's emotional hierarchy. The key to understanding this phenomenon lies in what psychologists call emotional regulation. When fundamental needs are unmet, people experience emotional dysregulation, a state where they struggle to manage their emotions effectively and respond to situations in healthy ways. For many men, when these four core needs are chronically unmet, they enter a state of emotional survival mode that makes it difficult to fully experience or express love. Think of it this way. Love is like a luxury emotion that requires a foundation of basic emotional security to flourish. When men feel disrespected, purposeless, controlled, or incompetent, their emotional energy gets consumed by trying to meet these fundamental needs. There's simply less emotional bandwidth available for experiencing and expressing love, even when love is genuinely present. This creates several specific patterns that explain why these needs can override love. First, there's the pattern of emotional withdrawal. When these needs aren't met, many men instinctively withdraw emotionally as a protective mechanism. They're not choosing to love less. They're unconsciously protecting themselves from further emotional pain by creating distance. This can look like not caring about love, but it's actually about emotional self-preservation. Second, there's the pattern of compensatory behavior. When these needs are unmet in one area, men often become intensely focused on meeting them in other areas. A man who feels disrespected at home might become a workaholic to gain respect professionally. A man who feels purposeless in his career might become obsessed with fitness or hobbies to achieve a sense of mastery and significance. Third, there's the pattern of relationship avoidance or sabotage. If these needs are consistently unmet within a relationship, a man might unconsciously sabotage the relationship or avoid deeper commitment, even when love is present. It's not that he doesn't want love. It's that the relationship environment feels emotionally unsafe due to these unmet needs. Here's the crucial insight. When men make choices that seem to prioritize these needs over love, they're usually not making a conscious choice to value these needs more than love. They're responding to what feels like emotional survival needs. Just as you can't fully appreciate a beautiful sunset when you're drowning, men struggle to fully experience love when these foundational needs are chronically unmet. This explains many confusing relationship dynamics. Why might a man choose work over family time? Often, it's because work provides respect, purpose, autonomy, and competence that he's not experiencing elsewhere. Why might he withdraw when criticized? Because criticism threatens his need for respect and competence simultaneously. Why might he resist attempts to change him? Because it threatens his autonomy and suggests he's not competent as he is. But here's the hopeful part. When these needs are met consistently, men don't choose them over love. They become more capable of loving deeply and authentically. The needs stop feeling urgent and competitive with love, and instead become the foundation that allows love to flourish. Research in relationship psychology shows that couples where both partners feel their fundamental needs are met report significantly higher relationship satisfaction, better communication, and stronger long-term commitment. It's not that love becomes less important. It's that love becomes more possible and sustainable when built on a foundation of met emotional needs. This is why understanding these needs is so powerful for relationships. Instead of viewing them as competition for love, you can see them as the foundation that makes deeper love possible. Instead of feeling threatened when your partner pursues respect, purpose, autonomy, or competence, you can support these pursuits, knowing that they'll likely enhance rather than diminish his capacity for love. Practical applications. In relationships, understanding these four emotional needs is powerful, but the real transformation happens when you apply this knowledge practically in your relationships. Let's explore specific strategies for recognizing and responding to these needs in ways that strengthen rather than threaten your connection. For the need for respect and appreciation, practical application means developing what I call appreciation awareness. Start paying attention to your partner's efforts, decisions, and contributions, even small ones. Instead of only commenting when something goes wrong, make it a habit to acknowledge when things go right. This might sound like, "I noticed how thoughtfully you handled that situation with your boss," or "I appreciate how you always make sure the car is maintained properly." The key is being specific and genuine. Generic compliments like, "You're great," don't carry the same impact as specific acknowledgements of competence and effort. Also, when you disagree with a decision or approach, try starting with appreciation for the positive intention before discussing alternatives. This might sound like, "I can see you were trying to save us money with that choice, and I appreciate that. Could we also consider this other option?" For the need for purpose and significance, practical application involves what I call purpose partnership. This means actively supporting your partner's sense of meaning and impact. Ask him about his goals and dreams, celebrate his achievements, and help him see how his various roles contribute to meaningful outcomes. If he's struggling with purpose, help him explore what might give his life more meaning, rather than dismissing these concerns as a midlife crisis or selfishness. You can also create opportunities for shared purpose. This might be planning family, goals together, supporting causes you both care about, or working on projects that reflect your shared values. When men feel that their relationship contributes to their sense of purpose rather than competing with it, it creates powerful bonding and commitment. For the need for autonomy and freedom, practical application requires what I call supportive independence. This means actively encouraging your partner's individual interests, friendships, and decision-making while maintaining your own autonomy as well. It means resisting the urge to control outcomes through pressure or manipulation, and instead trusting your partner to make good choices. Practically, this might mean encouraging him to maintain friendships, supporting his hobbies even if you don't, share them, and giving him space to process decisions in his own way and time frame. It also means expressing your own needs and preferences clearly while allowing him the freedom to respond authentically rather than out of guilt or obligation. For Tor, the need for competence and achievement practical application involves what I call competence collaboration. This means recognizing and acknowledging areas where your partner demonstrates skill and effectiveness. It means trusting him to handle challenges without immediately jumping in to help unless asked. It means celebrating his successes and supporting his growth even when it requires time and energy. When he's facing challenges or setbacks, competence collaboration might mean offering support in ways that enhance rather than undermine his sense of capability. Instead of immediately trying to solve problems for him, you might ask how you can best support him or offer to brainstorm solutions together. Here's a crucial insight. Meeting these needs doesn't mean becoming a cheerleader or losing your own voice in the relationship. Healthy relationships require both partners to feel respected, purposeful, autonomous, and competent. The goal is mutual support and understanding, not one-sided accommodation. It's also important to communicate openly about these needs. Many couples have never explicitly discussed what makes each partner feel respected, purposeful, autonomous, and competent. Having these conversations can be incredibly enlightening and bonding. You might discover that what you thought was supportive actually felt threatening to one of these needs, or that simple changes in approach could significantly improve your partner's emotional experience. Remember that these needs can manifest differently for different people. While the 4 categories are consistent, the specific ways they show up will vary based on personality, background, and individual values. The key is paying attention to your specific partner and learning what respect, purpose, autonomy, and competence look like for him specifically. Common mistakes to avoid. While understanding these 4 emotional needs can transform relationships, there are several common mistakes that can undermine your efforts or even make things worse. Let's explore these pitfalls so you can avoid them and apply this knowledge more effectively. The first major mistake is what I call need dismissal. This happens when you understand these needs intellectually, but dismiss them as less important than emotional needs you prioritize. For example, thinking, he should just feel loved. Why does he need all this respect and appreciation? Or, if he really loved me, he wouldn't need so much autonomy. This dismissive attitude often comes from not understanding that these aren't selfish wants. They're fundamental psychological needs that affect emotional regulation and relationship capacity. The second mistake is performance respect, going through the motions of showing respect or appreciation without genuinely feeling it. Men are generally quite good at detecting inauthentic appreciation, and fake respect often feels worse than no respect at all. The goal isn't to manipulate your partner by saying the right words. It's to develop genuine appreciation for his efforts and qualities. The third mistake is conditional support. This happens when you only support these needs when your partner is meeting your needs perfectly. For example, only showing respect when he's being romantic, or only supporting his autonomy when he's spending enough time with you. But these needs don't work on a quid pro quo basis. They're foundational requirements for emotional health and relationship capacity. The fourth mistake is need weaponization, using your understanding of these needs to manipulate or control your partner. For example, withdrawing respect as punishment for behavior you don't like, or threatening his autonomy to get him to comply with your preferences. This approach will backfire spectacularly and damage trust in the relationship. The fifth mistake is overcorrection. Some people, upon learning about these needs, swing to the opposite extreme and become afraid to express any preferences, concerns, or needs of their own. This isn't healthy either. The goal is mutual support and understanding, not one-sided. Accommodation. You can support his need for respect while still expressing when you feel hurt. You can support his autonomy while still having preferences about decisions that affect you. The sixth mistake is assumption errors, assuming you know how these needs manifest specifically for your partner without actually asking or observing carefully. For example, assuming that all men need respect expressed the same way, or that supporting autonomy always means giving space. The specific expressions of these needs vary significantly between individuals. The seventh mistake is timing insensitivity. This happens when you try to address these needs at inappropriate times, or in ways that feel forced or agenda-driven. For example, suddenly praising his competence right after a fight, or offering respect as a way to get something you want. The timing and context of how you support these needs matters enormously. The eighth mistake is need hierarchy confusion, misunderstanding that meeting these needs will automatically solve all relationship problems. While these needs are fundamental, relationships also require communication skills, shared values, compatible life goals, and emotional intelligence. Meeting these needs creates a foundation for love to flourish, but it doesn't replace the other work that healthy relationships require. The ninth mistake is gender stereotyping, assuming that all men have identical expressions of these needs, or that women don't have similar needs. While research shows patterns in how these needs often manifest differently between genders, there's enormous individual variation. Some men might prioritize autonomy over competence, while others might be more motivated by purpose than respect. Pay attention to your specific partner rather than applying generic assumptions. The final major mistake is expectation inflation, expecting immediate and dramatic changes in your partner's behavior once you start supporting these needs better. Emotional patterns and relationship dynamics take time to shift, especially if there's been a history of these needs being unmet. Be patient with the process and focus on consistency rather than immediate results. The key to avoiding these mistakes is approaching this knowledge with genuine curiosity, respect, and commitment to mutual flourishing, rather than as a technique to get what you want from your partner. Building stronger connections now. That we understand these needs and how to avoid common pitfalls, let's explore how to use this knowledge to build genuinely stronger, more connected relationships. The goal isn't just to meet these needs mechanically, it's to create an emotional environment where both partners can thrive and love authentically. The first principle of building stronger connections is what I call foundation first. This means prioritizing the establishment of emotional safety and need fulfillment before expecting deep intimacy and vulnerability. When men feel respected, purposeful, autonomous, and competent within the relationship, they naturally become more emotionally available and expressive. Trying to force intimacy before establishing this foundation often creates resistance and withdrawal. The second principle is mutual flourishing. Supporting your partner's fundamental needs shouldn't come at the expense of your own needs and well-being. The healthiest relationships are those where both partners actively support each other's emotional needs and personal growth. This might mean having explicit conversations about what each of you needs to feel respected, purposeful, autonomous, and competent. The third principle is authentic appreciation. Develop genuine appreciation for the ways your partner demonstrates these qualities rather than going through the motions. This requires shifting your perspective to notice and value things you might have previously taken for granted. When appreciation becomes authentic, it transforms from a technique into a genuine expression of love and recognition. The fourth principle is collaborative growth. Instead of viewing your partner's pursuit of these needs as competition for attention, find ways to support and even participate in his growth. This might mean encouraging his career development, supporting his friendships, celebrating his achievements, or working together on meaningful projects. The fifth principle is patient consistency. Building stronger connections takes time, especially if there's been a history of these needs being unmet. Focus on consistent, genuine support rather than expecting immediate changes. Trust that when these foundational needs are consistently met, deeper intimacy and connection will naturally follow. Here are some specific strategies for building stronger connections. Create regular appreciation rituals. This might be a weekly practice of sharing specific things you appreciate about each other or daily moments of acknowledging efforts and contributions. The key is making appreciation a consistent part of your relationship culture rather than something that only happens during conflicts or special occasions. Support individual growth and interests. Encourage your partner's personal development, hobbies, friendships, and goals. When both partners have strong individual identities and pursuits, it enhances rather than threatens the relationship. You become two whole people choosing to share your lives rather than two incomplete people trying to find completion through each other. Communicate about needs explicitly. Have open conversations about what makes each of you feel respected, purposeful, autonomous, and competent. These conversations can be incredibly bonding and help you understand each other at a deeper level. You might discover that what you thought was supportive actually felt threatening, or that simple changes in approach could significantly improve both partners' emotional experience. Create shared meaning and purpose. Find ways to build shared goals, values, and projects that give both of you a sense of significance and contribution. This might be raising children, building something together, supporting causes you care about, or creating traditions and experiences that reflect your shared values. Practice trust and respect in daily interactions. This means trusting your partner's judgment and decision-making process, even when you might choose differently. It means speaking to him with respect, especially during conflicts. It means assuming positive intent and giving him the benefit of the doubt when misunderstandings occur. As we wrap up this deep dive into the 4 emotional needs that can be stronger than love for men, let's summarize the key insights that can transform your understanding of relationships and human psychology. We've discovered that respect and appreciation, purpose and significance, autonomy and freedom, and competence and achievement aren't competing with love. They're creating the foundation that allows love to flourish authentically. When these needs are consistently met, men don't choose them over love. They become more capable of loving deeply and sustainably. The first major takeaway is that these needs aren't about ego or selfishness. They're about fundamental psychological requirements for emotional regulation and well-being. When men make choices that seem to prioritize these needs over love, they're usually responding to what feels like emotional survival needs, rather than making conscious choices about what matters more. The second major takeaway is that supporting these needs enhances rather than threatens romantic connection. When men feel respected, purposeful, autonomous, and competent, they naturally become more loving, generous, and emotionally available. The energy that was previously consumed by unmet needs becomes available for deeper intimacy and connection. The third major takeaway is that these principles apply to healthy relationships in general, not just romantic partnerships. Understanding and supporting these needs can improve your relationships with sons, brothers, male friends, and colleagues. It's about creating environments where people can thrive and contribute their best selves. The fourth major takeaway is that this knowledge requires authentic application, not manipulation. The goal isn't to use these insights to get what you want from your partner. It's to create mutual understanding and support that allows both partners to flourish. The fifth major takeaway is that individual variation matters enormously. While these four needs show up consistently, the specific ways they manifest will vary based on personality, background, and individual values. Pay attention to your specific partner rather than applying generic formulas. Here are the practical action steps you can take starting today. First, begin practicing authentic appreciation. Notice and acknowledge your partner's efforts, decisions, and contributions, especially in areas you might have previously taken for granted. Make this a daily practice rather than something that only happens during special occasions. Second, support his individual growth and pursuits. Encourage his friendships, hobbies, career development, and personal goals. Trust that supporting his individual flourishing will enhance rather than threaten your relationship. Third, communicate respect even during disagreements. Focus on addressing specific behaviors or situations rather than attacking his character or competence. Assume positive intent and give him space to process and respond in his own way. Fourth, create opportunities for shared purpose and meaning. Find projects, goals, or causes that you can work on together that give both of you a sense of significance and contribution. Fifth, have explicit conversations about these needs. Ask your partner what makes him feel respected, purposeful, autonomous, and competent. Share what you need to feel fulfilled as well. These conversations can be incredibly bonding and enlightening. Remember, implementing these insights is a journey, not a destination. Be patient with yourself and your partner as you learn to apply this knowledge. Focus on progress rather than perfection, and trust that consistent effort will create positive changes over time. The beautiful truth is that when these fundamental needs are met, love doesn't become less important, it becomes more possible. Instead of love competing with these needs, love becomes the natural expression of two people who feel safe, valued, and free to be their authentic selves together. Understanding these four emotional needs isn't about changing who you are or compromising your own needs. It's about creating the conditions where both partners can love more deeply, authentically, and sustainably. When both people in a relationship feel respected, purposeful, autonomous, and competent, love doesn't have to be forced or demanded. It flows naturally from the foundation of mutual understanding and support. If this video helped you understand the psychology behind what drives men emotionally, please hit that like button to help other people discover this content. Your engagement helps us reach more people who could benefit from understanding these relationship dynamics. Subscribe to our channel for more insights into relationship psychology, human behavior, and the science of connection. We're constantly researching and sharing the latest findings about what makes relationships thrive. Drop a comment below sharing your biggest takeaway from this video, or tell us about a time when you recognized one of these four needs playing out in your own relationships. Your experiences and insights help create a community of learning and growth. Share this video with someone who might benefit from understanding these concepts, whether that's a friend navigating relationship challenges, a family member trying to understand their partner better, or anyone interested in the psychology of human connection. Remember, great relationships aren't accidents. They're created by people who understand what each other needs to thrive and who consistently choose to support each other's flourishing. You now have powerful knowledge about fundamental human needs that can transform your relationships when applied with authenticity and care. Until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and keep choosing love that's built on the solid foundation of mutual understanding and respect.